Welcome to the Passionpreneur Experience, where I examine the thoughts, energy, and strategy a side hustler needs to grow their entrepreneurial dreams, all while they work their corporate 9-to-5 day job. I'm your host, Bridget Cobb. Now let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Passionpreneur Experience. I am so glad you are back with me this week, and I'm really excited to dive in and talk about today's subject because I feel it is important that we always keep an eye on our mindset, and that's really where I want to reflect this week. So today's topic is, what if I stop believing in myself? Which might sound like a really a depressing topic. It might sound a little overwhelming to have that thought. But the reality is we go there quite often in our own minds. And we get to the point where we stop believing in ourselves. And this can come around like, and I've experienced it myself. And maybe I try something once. So I try something I've never done before, and it doesn't work. And that's kind of devastating. And I think, it was an experiment. I probably didn't have it down just right that first time. I'm going to give it another crack. So you go at it again, and it doesn't work. And now you're really scratching your head saying, okay, I feel like I made some tweaks. I feel like I knew what I was doing, and it's still not working. But somehow muster the energy. You know what? I'm gonna keep pressing here. Try 3 times and it doesn't work. And often we're in this headspace now of, okay, all right, it's me. I can't do this. I'm not cut out for this. I don't have the talent. I don't have the gift. I'm not smart. The thoughts can actually avalanche in our heads and really bring us to a point where we stop believing in ourselves. And here's what I do know about getting to that point is that when you start having that thought, the first thing I do is start to think about, okay, how does that thought make me feel? When I start thinking about the fact that I don't believe in myself anymore, the thought I immediately have is, I don't know if this, or the feeling rather, is deflation. And it's a point where all the energy, all the wind is sucked out of my sails, and I'm left directionless. Nothing to really push me forward. It's a very empty feeling. It's lethargy. It's lack of energy. And I know what kind of action I'm going to take out of that feeling, and that's no action. In fact, that's probably a retreat. It's certainly not forward momentum. If I'm staying still, I'm in a good place. I'm usually retreating backwards, and now I'm backpedaling. Okay, I should have never done that. I knew I couldn't do that. The thoughts, they start to get a little out of hand. Now, of course, when we go to those thoughts, which, immediately, I can't do this, this is out of my control, this was way over my head, there is a benefit here. There's a benefit that we receive in having a little bit of that pity party. It brings us some relief. It relieves us of responsibility. And so that can actually feel good temporarily. To be in that space of, I knew it was never going to work anyway, vindicated, I was right all along, and you kind of feel safe in that spot. So I get it, and I understand why we go there. The thing to keep our eye on is, how long do we stay there? How long do we stay in that space of, I knew this was never going to work, and poor me, this is the worst. I'm never going to get it. The more we stay there, the more we build up that wall of safety around us to never take a step into the unknown again. And so to combat this, How do we start to step out of that pity party, to reject our reservation to the pity party and say, I'm not going there, I'm not staying there anymore, I've got better plans. What I like to do is I'd like to come back around to my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why is this important to me? Why am I okay with being uncomfortable? I made that decision a long time ago. I'm okay with being uncomfortable. Why did I say that? What was I trying to get out of that? And from there, I can start to do a little bit more of a deep dive into where to go next. I was looking up a couple of different quotes around this, and I think Thomas Edison, he was a great inventor, invented the light bulb, invented thousands of things, actually. He had a couple of great quotes. The first one being, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was invented with 1,000 steps. I mean, what a freaking cool growth mindset to be there, saying, it just took 1,000 steps naturally. Some things take a few steps, some things take 1,000 steps. I mean, that is I can't even wrap my head around the determination and almost the stubbornness that he had in marching forward with his belief. There was this unimaginable belief that he had in what his goal was and this invention and what he thought could come out of this invention. So he follows on from that to say, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. He must have said that 1,000 times to get to the light bulb. 1,000. And when I think about where I come from sometimes, I tried 3 times. 3 times before I determined it was impossible. And, if I could take a page out of Edison's book and say, I have barely begun to scratch the surface of solving, of what is possible. And before I walked away from this, before I gave up, barely scratched the surface. That starts to put a whole new frame of reference on where I'm coming from and where I am in this journey. So if I'm at the place now, I've failed 3 times in a row, I'm not getting the results that I want, and I'm feeling deflated, I'm into the pity party, and I'm saying, I don't think so. I don't think I've got what it takes to do this. What can I do from here? Well, one thing I recommend you give a try is borrowing from the future. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow my success and the feelings of my success and the thoughts I have around my success, and I'm just going to pull them forward, potentially without the end result. I'll just take the feelings and the thoughts, and I'm going to go ahead and use those now. So in order to play around with that, I can role play with myself a little bit around that scenario. I'm going to start thinking about, what will it feel like when I do succeed? Let me just get into that frame of mind. What am I going to feel? Am I going to feel happiness, joy, pride, drive? I'm going to feel potentially even more driven to continue because I reached my goal. I'm going to feel extremely proud of myself and how I got to this point and how I didn't give up. I may even feel some humor in this situation, thinking, oh my gosh, remember that time that I almost gave up after 3 tries and threw the towel in? That would have been such a disaster if I had just given up, knowing what I know now. So I'm getting into this frame of mind. I'm completely stealing from the future and claiming those feelings now. And when I start to think about that, like, oh yeah, success is actually inevitable. I will get there. That's in my grasp. That's well within my realm of possibility. I can have that. Then I can say, well, this is part of the process. This is the 3rd step. Hopefully not in 1,000, but this is the third step to where I'm going. I just need to try one more time. I just need to pick that up and keep going. And I will get there. It's getting back into the belief of myself. If I was successful, I would have 100% belief in myself. I would feel that from head to toe. If I nailed the thing that I was trying to do, whatever that was, and I just knocked it out of the park, I would have this immense belief in me and what I'm capable of. Can I borrow that feeling now? Can I borrow the thoughts that come along with somebody that has 100% belief in themselves? And just ride it. Just take those beliefs and run with it. I feel like that's where Thomas Edison was. He just believed it. He's like, this is happening. I don't care how many times I fall down. This light bulb is turning on. End of story. And that's how he went about it. He just drilled in. And I feel like we all have access to that if we want it. We all have access to that. The real trick here is, once again, being really clear about what you're thinking. Listen intently. When you hit that point where you feel like, oh, I failed again. I failed yet again. That is your cue to stop and listen. What am I thinking about that? What did I make that failure mean for me right now? Based on that, what kind of actions do I think I'm going to take out of that? Is that going to get me to my end goal? If not, and if I can look at the actions I'm taking right now, maybe you're already deep into pity party land and you're frozen and you don't know how to move forward, that belief is just gone out of your sails. The next exciting step to walking towards your goal is to put yourself mentally in the space that you are there. You have achieved it. And just dwell in that feeling. Really soak it up. And go ahead and look deeply into, if I'm there, if I have nailed it, what would I do? How would I act? What would I say to people? What would I say about myself? What would I say about my business? And own those feelings right now. Go ahead and own them. And I would love to hear how this goes for you. So please feel free as you dig into some of the concepts that I talk about on this podcast. Give me a shout back. Let me know how things are going for you. As you may know, I have just launched a YouTube channel where I also have the podcast up, but I'm starting to load video content up there. So please pop over to YouTube when you get a chance. You can find me at Bridget Cobb Coaching, and that's another great place to leave a comment and let me know how you're going with the podcast. Let me know if you've got any comments or feedback. I would really love to hear from you guys. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will certainly see you guys back here next time on the Passionpreneur Experience. Bye. Passionpreneurs, are you ready to take that big dream off the shelf and put it into motion? Well, let's do it. Head on over to BridgetCobbCoaching.com for more information about how to work with me as your one-on-one coach. It's time to put that dream into motion. Now let's get started.